For today's VideoCast episode, we're talking about BGE's tabletop and what it costs to get our doors open.
Nice.
Welcome to the Dice, Cards, and Coffee VideoCast. I'm Dustin from BGE's Tabletop.
I'm Dave from Fire and Dice.
And I'm George from Gaming Grounds.
And today we have a couple topics where we're going to talk about first my experience with game stores in Asia and how that kind of maybe influences my decision to open BGE's Tabletop and what it costs to get our doors open. Before that, though, did you know we are hosting a tabletop gaming convention?
What? When was that happening?
Really? June 13th to the 15th, 2025. LFG Con. You can get tickets now.
Yeah. LFG-con.com. There'll be linked below.
You can purchase the tickets online. You won't get the actual tickets right now, but you know,
you'll get your badge.
Early bird
badge, yeah.
Special going on. Come on in, check it out. Check out the website. You know, be a part of what we're doing there. You can, right? We talked about already having like staff signups, vendor signups. You know, if you're a developer, you want to show off your game, hit us up.
Yeah. Media.
Super excited. Convention, we need all of you to pull this off too.
Yeah.
So if you are interested, be sure to check out the website. All right. So I'm in the hot seat today.
Yes.
We're talking about opening BGE's Tabletop. But before that, we kind of wanted to do like a side topic of talking about game stores in Asia because I lived there for a few years and kind of got into the hobby a little bit more in Asia.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say like the hobby started for me in Washington, D.C. very heavily. And then I moved to Taiwan.
What were you doing in Washington, D.C.?
I was doing AmeriCorps.
Okay.
So I was working for a nonprofit helping immigrant and refugee families.
Okay.
But my roommate and also coworker, so I had two coworkers. We lived in the same house together as well as like worked together. And she and her boyfriend at the time were really into board games. And I learned Dominion
nice.
there. And I was like,
That's
oh my
a good
God.
starter.
Yeah, you can deck build without having to buy like all these magic cards. I'm in. And then we played like Bonanza. Bonanza was fun. We played
Bonanza.
Bang. Like
Bang,
Bang's fun.
It was like
Yeah, back then those were the games.
The hot stuff. BGG top 100 back then. They're maybe dropped to like 250 now. But and then after that I moved to Taiwan, and that's like where I was really in the board game hobby.
Nice.
So what's the differences really between like say American style board game stores or gaming stores to the ones in Taiwan?
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of talking before. There's a lot of cafes over in Asia. Like
coffee.
I miss cafes. Like sit down and like have a coffee cafe.
Okay.
There's not much. Gaming Grounds is one spot.
But I see what you're saying. So it's like mostly about the coffee.
Yeah, coffee are just like that's kind of like the social thing to do. I lived in Korea too.
Gotcha.
And when I would finish my shift at the after school, like what is it called? Not Bushu, Hagwon.
Oh yeah, tutor.
Yeah.
Kind of tutor center.
And we'd finish at 9 p.m. and I would go meet people for coffee, and we'd stay there till like midnight or 1 a.m. just drinking coffee, and like I did
playing
like
board
a
games?
language
Definitely
exchange.
a social thing.
No, I didn't do much board games in Korea. I was a little too young and partied a little too much.
I don't think board games might have been there at that time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there
were no board games back then.
Korean publishers.
Well, in Korea.
They Korean publishers kind of exploded maybe 15 years ago, maybe at the.
Oh, really?
earliest.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar when it was popping or happening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think like 2014 probably there was probably quite a
there's some board
good
games
amount
there.
of Korean publishers.
All
Yeah.
Right. Did they have like the Euro, Gateway, Catan and stuff like that?
When Korea, I didn't play games, so I don't I don't.
All right.
I don't know if like. I don't even remember
Maybe
like board games. Yeah, it was just
so
off my radar.
But you're more familiar with Taiwan, Taipei.
Yeah,
okay.
Taiwan and mainland China a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we did go back to Korea when I was living in Taiwan and checked out some game stores and cafes and stuff.
Nice.
And they were very similar to the Taiwan cafes too.
Yeah,
Like,
it's more cafe, and they just had
So
games
just
you can play. Is
yeah.
that-
give a little description of it.
Well, so in Korea, I think there was more of a food element to the cafes,
Sure.
where in Taiwan, all the cafes, very much finger food. If
Okay.
they had
Right.
food,
Okay.
like there was one spot that was in, I think it was it's called Shimin. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Taipei, but it's kind of a big night market in Taipei. It's like the big night market. And there was a board game cafe on the second floor. And we went up, and it's pretty small. It's probably like 700 square feet.
It's probably
Yeah.
compact.
And it's like you pay per hour or something. And then you get free unlimited drinks from the beverage, fountain beverage.
Sure.
But I don't know. It's really interesting because like it racks my brain how the business model worked for them.
I mean, we don't know what their rent is, right?
But I kind of do. I remember
Oh, you
rent
do?
being pretty like on par to what.
Do
it
they
is
sell games and everything? Like-
yeah, that one a little bit. There's like a small retail shelf of games.
Huh.
Yeah, but maybe because it was just so small, 600 square feet.
Right.
That
Yeah. It's hard to fit everything.
Also, maybe it's just like a hobby business too for them.
Yeah.
You know, like.
It's probably, mainly about the drinks, right? They want to sell drinks.
But the drinks were unlimited free. Like.
But it's just soda, right? Like fountain.
Yeah.
You said.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's all they had.
Oh.
It was just soda,
Okay.
tea,
Coffee
like,
and
yeah,
tea.
like yeah.
Maybe the owner also owned the business below it.
Maybe.
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
had a thing there.
Yeah.
How did that maybe spark your interest in like opening up?
Well, in Taiwan, I had started a tutoring business.
Right.
And I was doing that, and that was what do you call it? The Pumpkin Plan. I don't know if anybody knows this book, but it's kind of how you start a business with the least cost, and you always think about making profit first too. He does it, and there's another book called Profit First by the same guy.
Okay.
So that was like a business where it's like, oh yeah, I'm making money, and I'm not spending money.
Making
Because
money
it's
sounds
tutoring, there's
Tutoring,
low
right.
overhead.
Yeah.
I'm online.
Yeah.
I was selling courses and stuff too, but I wasn't super passionate about it, so I stopped it, and we started the podcast, Board Gaming with Education,
good.
and that kind of like I explored business models with games and education.
Gotcha.
And
So you were teaching English, I'm assuming?
yeah,
Okay. So this is kind of interesting because my mom, maybe last year, she was telling me about it. In Korea, there was I still have some relatives that live there. Someone mentioned to her that, because I have my game store, and she mentioned in Korea, there was a place that was offering English speaking. I think it was like $5,000 a month or something, where you teach board games in English.
oh wow, yeah.
I was just like,
I'm-
what?
I'm not surprised.
I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
There's
Wow.
there's a big, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the company. Oh man, in China, a big publisher or like localizer of board games, they had their own tutoring center, and yeah, they did the same thing.
Oh,
and it's
okay.
very expensive to like send your kid there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean
Okay.
that's like I tried connecting those two things.
Right.
I failed because I think I lacked the marketing know-how of Taiwan and that demographic, and I also did a lot of marketing in English. I did have some help with translation, and if I went back, I would probably just spend a couple $1,000s on just marketing and translation and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I did okay. Like it helped me with my career for sure.
Okay.
Like there's some tutoring stuff that I would have never gotten to where I did in Taiwan if I hadn't done some of the tutoring stuff. Like I was consulting for the Ministry of Education in Taiwan because of my background in tutoring and all that.
Nice.
That's cool.
But I just never got the board game with the English
English.
teaching to the extent of like
you
a
might have been too
solid
early
business.
too, right? It sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little maybe too early in just marketing. Like
Yeah.
marketing is challenging already,
Yeah.
and then on top of it, in a different country in a different language, it's
Yeah.
kind of tough.
All right.
Cool. All right. And then you moved to the States
Moved to the States.
and opened up BG&Es.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this kind of goes into our startup cost. We had planned to do an events-based model
Okay.
which was going to be summer camps and after school programs and board game meetups. And we were going to start with board game meetups as a way to kind of like get the word out and branding and marketing and do that. Like, I think we were doing every other week. We had done 3 and then the pandemic hit.
Where was that at?
It was over in the Warner Center. So I don't know if you're familiar with Los Angeles area in the Valley. It's kind of this business center, but there was a nonprofit out there. We had rented out the space. They had a really good deal. We like committed to so many weeks, and it was huge. Like this space they had was probably like 4,000 square feet.
That's fun.
And when we had it, we had the whole space.
Right.
And it was like, whoa, like really good deal for how much space we had. And yeah, I mean, like, I think our third time we had about 15 people come, which was like, looking back, I'm like, how did I get 15 people only on the third time? It's like, what did I? But I guess there's a handful of like family. I would say like 5 or 6 people were family or friends, but still, like, it's like, wow,
that's pretty good.
And we got some calls about like the after school program and stuff. We just never. I think we had 2 people, and it's like, well, we just need a third one, and then we can actually officially start it.
Okay. And then the pandemic.
The pandemic, and then we did. Yeah, so I guess like maybe I can go into our startup cost as far as like.
Sure. Yeah.
We were chatting before. I kind of have like 3 startup costs. We started online first, and then we got a kiosk in the mall for a couple months, and then we opened the brick and mortar.
Yeah, the kiosk in the mall sounds expensive to me, rent wise.
Oh, it was. I mean, it was in the month of December we were there. Yeah.
All right. $6,000 a month.
What?
Is it too much?
Wait, how big is a kiosk?
Small.
Oh, dude, it's like as big as this table. But it's like it's designed really well. Where you can fit quite a bit
I
of
feel like I
product.
went too high. Dave, what do you think? 2,000.
Man, just that size is so small.
It's like
I mean, I actually remember stopping by there. Man, 6,000.
I don't know. I'm going high.
I mean, it is a mall. There's a lot of traffic, I guess.
Yeah.
Or supposed to be a lot of traffic.
Maybe 4.
I'll go 3.
So I like off the top of my head, I have some numbers, and I'm like, oh yeah, it was this. Well, maybe it was that. But I do know the month of December was more expensive than this whole
because holiday season
for the rent.
Right.
And it was definitely more than 3,000.
Okay.
And I can't remember if it was 3,100.
Okay.
Or if that was November was 3,100,
Yeah.
and then December was like 4,000.
Yeah, it's not too
But
bad.
between
The
3,000 and
holiday
4,000
season.
a
Okay.
month. During the holiday season.
But that was how many years ago?
3
Yeah,
holiday
so the
seasons
6,000
ago.
is probably right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but the thing is, we did look in the Topanga Village. So again, these are kind of malls in the area. This is more Westfield is a big mall.
Oh
brand.
Yeah.
the fancy ones.
They were more expensive. I think
yeah.
they were almost $6,000 for
Okay.
December.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
Where Northridge, different mall, a different mall management,
Mhm.
they were a little bit
Right.
less expensive.
Okay.
But also like for the area, it makes sense.
So you did that for how long?
2 months. Well,
Okay.
like 10 weeks.
And you with the idea that you're going to open up a brick and mortar.
It was kind of like a pilot.
Okay.
Right. It's
See
like,
if it works.
can I do this? It was more like, can I do it? Than does it work? Because there's enough, like, when you open a business that's already around, there's models that already work. And you kind of know, like, it should work if you can figure it out.
Right.
So, yeah, also, like, how do I figure it out? So I did that. And also just, can I do, like, long days? How do I order inventory from my distributor when I need it in a couple weeks because of the holiday rush? Or, like, how quickly does something move? Closing out the cash register day over day. Just a lot of, like, stuff that is, like, good trial run.
How does it work with that mall? Just open and close based off mall hour? Or
Yeah, we have to do exactly what the mall hours are. Again, comparing the two, Topanga a little less strict about, like, taking breaks or leaving your kiosk. Northridge, not so much. When I was there, I don't know how they are now, but like I was able to go to the bathroom if I need to. I can leave my kiosk. Where I hear the Westfield one,
you
like
have to have
you have to have
always.
someone always at the
Which
kiosk.
makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense, but also like
Yeah, as a single
Yeah.
presentable.
You're working it alone, I presume. You didn't have like any.
Yeah.
And that was another thing. If I were to have paid an employee, would it work? Right. Like I didn't pay myself. I used anything we made those 2 months to open the brick and mortar.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot,
exciting,
but
though. That sounds exciting.
yeah, it was cool. It was like, I mean, we're all business owners. I think we share in some of the same mental health challenges of like burnout or like just feeling a little bit like down because you're stuck to one spot for a long time. So that was challenging being at the mall, like indoors during the holiday season, long hours, like just sitting at my kiosk. So it's been cool to move here to like, now I'm behind the register, but I can actually like bust out my laptop and like sit at a table or step outside. I can even lock up if I want to for 30 minutes and kind of walk
More freedom.
away. Yeah. But yeah, how much do you guys think the cost was for me to get to the kiosk?
Just the kiosk.
And we can include, we'll exclude the rent. Yeah.
But just the kiosk?
Just the kiosk.
Well,
So inventory?
It'll just be inventory, right? Because it's already built out.
Yeah, pretty much just inventory. How much do you think
So you want to fill out this thing about this high?
So how much do you think I had in inventory? Well, you kind of were peeking, so I don't know if you actually remember. How much do you think I had in inventory before we opened the kiosk?
MSRP or
at cost?
At cost.
Well, cost.
I don't know. I'll say 5,000, maybe 4,000.
You mean so is this
Product
added or in total?
He's going total.
To when you opened it, like
so total for
in the kiosk. I'd say 20.
Like to fill the kiosk up with product.
I'll say 20K.
15K.
Oh wow!
And I think I could have added. I probably could have got to 20, but budget constraints. I had 10K in just inventory before, and then I spent 5K.
Oh, okay. So you had previous and
Okay.
So that was. I mean, if anybody is opening or thinking about opening a store, like one thing that worked really well for me, but also opening the brick and mortar, I would kind of give some hesitation, is slowly easing into it. Because it was nice to do the online thing, and I used WooCommerce, which I shifted from that to Shopify before we opened the kiosk, and that was the best business decision I think I've made.
The Shopify.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what you use now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then like even before the kiosk, we were doing pop-ups. So we would do like almost 2 pop-ups a month, 2 events a month.
Okay. So going from there to, going to the brick and mortar store here, what, you have chairs, tables, rent, consistently. I mean, you had rent there as well, but, you have a lot of other costs that are involved. Did you have to have insurance at the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't too bad. I think the mall provided their own insurance, and it was. I remember it being like, oh my gosh, this is only how much I have to pay for insurance. I always thought it was a lot more, but.
And so when you move here, what kind of costs are we talking?
So do you guys want to guess the total of how much?
Oh, here?
About again, like I have my build out costs because I made a video about that, but also how much I spent on inventory. But I'm
around the shop
probably missing some stuff.
More inventory, I'm sure. TVs. A lot of.
Are we including the inventory you brought in from the kiosk?
I would say so. Yeah, it's interesting because I would say I probably spent 60K. I would say I probably had about 30 to 40K invested in the business before opening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So added to that.
So
I would say 50K added to that.
So 30 plus 50.
Yeah. So 80. I'm going up.
I'm going to say
it's riveting.
Extra 10.
Extra 10.
Okay. So 40K.
So 40K.
But you're talking about all the tables, all the slat walls, everything he needed.
I don't know.
Extra inventory? Okay.
So if like including the startup costs I had already in the business and then getting to this point, opening the brick and mortar, it was probably like 70 to 80K.
In total.
So you're pretty close. Yeah.
Okay.
So my build out cost I have at 20K. So that's like the fridge, the cases, the slat wall, the TVs, TV installation, bathroom update, storage containers. I have all my Home Depot and Lowe's trips at 2,200. So I had to replace the flooring.
Oh, wow.
And then like our ring security system. I have some
Right.
branding stuff. Like I printed some flyers and stuff.
Yeah.
The tables, chairs were 1,500. The bookcases, the Calic shelving.
You have
yeah.
glass display cases for your singles?
Yeah.
For your Magic cards and Pokemon cards and things like that? What were the costs of that? Those-
You already know the answer, but
That's why I'm asking.
they were $2 each.
$2?
$2 each. But then I had to pay for a truck to go pick them up. So we went to pick them up from like downtown LA. It was a trip. Grace drove down me as you driving the big old truck.
What business had it before you bought it?
It was a cell phone store.
Cell phone. Okay.
Yeah.
$2.
Now that's a deal.
That's a deal.
Yeah. It was
It
so
could be
like
like-
$50. How much do I have here? Do I have it on here?
You can sell
80.
a Magic card for like $100 in the case that the case
Covers
is
it.
$2.
Yeah.
Covers
They
it.
are not like they're okay. They work. Yeah.
Is
yeah.
is
I
your
had to clean
fridge
'em out.
new or used?
So the fridge was also another good deal. We spent $600 on that fridge, and those fridges are usually like $1,200 to
Okay.
$1,500. It was one that had a little dent on the back. I'm like, heck yeah, I'll take that. No one's gonna see that
It
dent.
was how much to what was the discount again?
I think that one was like maybe around 1,000.
Okay.
And I drove down to the like. There's a big, what do you call it? Like
Liquidation.
business. Like it's in LA. Like the big like factory industrial area of
Industrial,
LA.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I drove in and like checked out some of the stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean we were pretty like resourceful when it came to like
Yeah.
again
it right.
we were chatting before is my suggestion. I mean you can do it, but opening a store on a shoestring budget is tough, and it's like we're 3 years in and cash flow is really hard because I think we needed a bit more of a buffer or a bit more like every single month. Even now I still have to invest in our inventory to keep us going. I think we're kind of almost finally leveling out because that's another cost I have here is like we had 10K before the kiosk, 15K at the kiosk, 23K when we opened our doors of inventory.
What is this? What are these numbers
for inventory?
for inventory?
And then after about a month of being open, we were at 30K in inventory.
Wow.
And now we hover between like 65 and 70K.
Yeah.
And that's like okay. Like I'd still like to increase that number a little bit, but also at this point I can be very conscious about what we're ordering and taking in and making sure like we're turning it over a little bit quicker. Because that's also an interesting thing. Another topic is like inventory turn rates and what things are you're comfortable with like sitting on for a little bit longer. And
Yeah. And then what about sales?
we do. So when we first opened, I think our first month was like 8K. And our best month was like 36K.
Nice.
We got to the point where we had a couple back-to-back 30K months, even after last holiday season. I think February we did okay. Like I don't remember exactly, but I remember it being close to 30K. I was like, okay, 30K might be our
Yeah.
like-
you gotta hit that.
yeah, and we can keep pushing that number a little bit. But then we went down a little bit, so it's like we got to look at why, kinda.
I mean, I think 30K is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, 30K is like that's a very healthy number for a decent salary, growth in the business, and to pay a couple part-time staff.
Yeah.
Because that's ideally what you want to. Like, I want growth for the business. Like, I want to be able to move it somewhere.
Course,
you know, 35K would be like, oh my gosh, 35K would be. I could almost pocket 5K for business growth month over month.
So
I could do 35K.
do you think this shoestring budget you might have grown a little bit more?
Yeah, we would
A
be
little faster?
we at where we're at now. If I had, I would say probably like 30K more, maybe 40K. I would be very like comfortable right now. Yeah, but again, that's the risk and the challenge. Like we wanted to do it. My wife and I were like in a spot where we don't have kids. We live with our in-laws. Like we're able to kind of take these risks, and if things were to happen and like somehow the business just I have to close it up, like we can reset.
Right. Yeah.
We're still relatively young.
Yeah. Well, and you can probably sell a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, like
Liquidate. Yeah.
right. Yeah, so it's you have to look at it for yourself too, I think, and where you're at, and but ideally, yeah, if I would have, 30-40K more, like I would easily be like looking for a bigger space.
So
already.
How long until you hire your first employee?
I think it was 2 or 3 months.
2 months in.
Yeah. And that's another thing, like you mentioned too. Like I could say, okay, staff, I'm gonna start working all the hours now and save some money. But like, I think that was really important for me from the start. Is like I don't want to be, like I want to make sure the business it's a business. Like it's not the number one thing in our lives.
Yeah.
But again, like it kind of does become that.
Yeah,
thing.
sure.
Yeah. So like even just doing some things to make sure like I'm prioritizing some other stuff was always important.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's 2 staff now, and maybe a third coming back. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. So 2 staff. That's good. So,
but they only work 20 hours combined, so it's like
all part time.
Yeah.
And then percentage of sales, is it mostly board games, cards?
So Magic has been our best seller the last 90 days again.
Okay.
I checked maybe like 30, 40 days ago, and it's still, I think just the sets have been
they've been really,
recently.
really good.
Like
been
Bloomberg,
fun.
Modern Horizons, Dustborn,
What about when you first opened?
Pokemon.
Your Pokemon?
Pokemon is the top for the longest time until Lorcana came out. And then it was Lorcana, and then I think Magic has passed it.
So where do the board games rank in there?
They're pretty low. Like, looking at 90-day averages, they're pretty low. I'd have to look at the full year because a lot of board games sell now, right?
They hit
October,
they sell, and then they're
people are looking for starting to think about like holiday gatherings and stuff.
Right. That's true.
So I'd have to look at the year. They're probably like still like 4th. It probably goes Magic, Pokemon, Warhammer, board games, Lorcana over this past year. Maybe Lorcana's could be before board games or Warhammer. Yeah.
When you had the kiosk, was it the same? Pokemon,
for sure. Puzzles too.
Puzzles
Sold pretty well.
Yeah, puzzles at the kiosk.
At the kiosk.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah, it's I think like Monopoly puzzles. That's like a
a
mall type
we
product.
sold a lot of different Monopolies.
Yeah, it's definitely a mall type product.
Do you have Monopoly here?
Yeah, and they don't sell. Neither did the puzzles. So I'm like, oh man.
It's definitely
Once
a
you
different.
got into the shop, you couldn't sell the puzzles.
Yeah, we got rid of the puzzles because they weren't
man.
moving. Yeah, I think the puzzles
kind of interesting.
It would be good. I think some game stores pull off puzzles really well, but you have to be very like you have to be focused on it, right?
Yeah, or have something different.
Yeah,
right.
You know, maybe that fits your aesthetic. You know, if you're like all into role playing games, Dungeons and Dragons, maybe you have some
D&D puzzles.
Yeah,
something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lords of Waterdeep puzzles.
Yeah, it's interesting how certain locations, certain things sell better than other things, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So maybe before I finish, I'll share one advice.
Oh yeah, something you want to change.
There's 2 things actually. The first thing was I've already mentioned is like, if you're gonna do shoestring budget, it's like a lot of like head down, like everything's going back into the business, everything.
So I guess I kind of understand shoestring budget, but to be more clear on what it is, like
it's like not like opening without a lot of capital and reserve.
Okay.
And everything you're earning for the business is going back into the business.
Straight back into business.
Like I almost expecting sales to help grow the business.
Okay.
And that is what a lot of small businesses do.
Yeah.
You know, that's how they operate. But then you don't take into account any
emergency
costs that come up. Yeah, like we've had a broken window. $500. It's like that's a couple of days worth of.
Yeah.
That's a day or two worth of profit. And it's like gone. So there's things that happen.
And like for us, we have family support, friend support, and we have like we have ways to like survive if we want to. I think at this point I've kind of like have this mentality. I don't want to take more from.
Yeah, you don't want to rely.
Like we've been 3 years. We got to figure it out if we're gonna keep going.
Exactly.
You know,
Right.
like
Yes.
and early on we were like, okay, if something happens, we have a way to kind of like, hey,
Yeah.
buddy, can I can I borrow like a couple $1,000
Yeah.
as an investment maybe? And you know, I did rely on some family for that at the start, and still kind of like,
good you have that
kind of owe my
support.
mom a little money. So
You pay her back in board games?
yeah, she loves it. She loves it. No.
Here's some Pokemon cards.
But then number 2 is like try to plan as much as you can. So that was one thing. Like I met with an SBA, Small Business Association mentor, and it doesn't cost to plan. Like you can literally sit down and itemize out. Like I did that several times, probably like 10, 20 times with all the costs for opening the store. And I opened up under budget because I went through all of that, and I was very like resourceful in where we got stuff. But it doesn't cost you to do that. And planning out some of that stuff, like one cost that ended up biting us, and it, like also I don't know, like we had to install our TVs, and I mentioned this to you guys. Like that was I think one of our most expensive build out costs. And it was more expensive to install 3 TVs than to purchase the 3 TVs.
Yeah. You do. I remember. I was like, "Wait, you paid someone?"
What?
I have it here.
I would have done that myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like I could have done it. It was $1,100 to install 3 TVs. Wow. And I could have done
Wrong
it myself,
business.
but it would have taken me like 2 to 3 days to figure it out. Right.
You think?
Like
Well,
yeah.
and
Like
then you have the
with
professional do it.
Wait, is this concrete?
He created a new outlet. No, it's drywall, but like he built an outlet into the wall. He hit it. He mounted it up there.
So it's like sturdy.
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
it's
So
done
he did electrical work too.
Yeah, you have to like run the electrical all the way.
Okay,
up
that's
to
a different
the
story.
middle
Electrical
here.
is different. Like I don't know electrical, so I'm not gonna do that. So
I mean, like again, I could have maybe figured it out. Like my brother, he's an electrician. I can call him for some help, and I could have probably flew him out.
Flew him out. That's what I was gonna say. You could have flown him out. And it would have been cheaper.
He would have liked that, yeah. But it was so last minute. It's like we're opening. Like
soon, yeah.
I think it was like the next day or 2 days away, and I'm like, okay, I really wanted these TVs up before we opened.
How do you think they've benefited your business?
Oh, big time. People like we always put up our slides up there. Also, football season, I put up football. the Mets are in the playoffs, so I've been watching the Mets play.
We're laughing, but a while back when I went to this Pokemon thing, not the recent one. I went one before this one, the past one, but there was a gentleman. His store was in somewhere in the south, and then very heavy football. Heavy football.
Yeah.
It's like Sundays are dead. So what they did was like
They just put all the football games.
All
on.
the TVs would have football games, and then they would,
So
kids
they
come
get
in and play
people in?
Pokemon.
Oh.
They would, the parents or dads or whatever would watch the game.
Football. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, I mean, I'm from Nebraska, and Saturdays was like, it was
college football.
huge economy revolving around college football.
Yeah.
It's like we would be completely dead from 30 minutes before kickoff to 30 minutes after, but before that and after we were like completely swamped. It's like I knew you're gonna make some good money on those days
tips.
too.
Tip days. Yeah. Cool.
So before we wrap up,
I just want to share something real quick.
Yeah.
It's just a meme I saw. I think I might have talked to you guys about it before, but for businesses, it was, I thought, pretty funny and actually pretty accurate. It was Will Ferrell, and he did, it said first year, and he was sitting there going, I don't know what I'm doing. And he's looking around just like confused. And it said second year of business. He's like, I knew this would never work. Why did I even think this would work? This is so stupid. And then the third year, he's in a convertible with it down, and he's driving. He's just laid back on.
so
making the money.
we have like what, 2-3 more
I have
months?
6 months.
6 months,
I have
and then
6
you'll be in
months.
your convertible.
I'll be in my convertible.
I have a little bit longer. I think you open a month before me.
I
So 7
have
months.
a non-convertible right now. I'm about to get a convertible.
Oh man,
We're close to that convertible.
all right. So thank you for watching,
Yeah.
and we'll see you next week.